Hi, Kayla.
Hi, Antonika. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for being here with us today. I'm really excited about our broadcast.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Now, one of the things that I haven't really talked about or even asked you about is your son. How adorable is your son? How old is he?
He just turned 3 in May.
Wow. And he's just so cute. How does he feel about you helping other mamas? Does he even realize what you do at 3 years old?
Yeah, he knows. He's aware of the placenta work that I do because he's my little pickup buddy. Sometimes I have to go pick up a placenta while I have him, and so yeah, I'll say, "Come on, let's get in the car. I'll go pick up a placenta," or I have to cook it, and so I'll put on a show for him to keep him occupied while I do my work. And he says, "Are you almost done with your placenta, Mom?"
I love kids. They're so cute. My friend has a 2-year-old little girl and she's starting to put together sentences and I just think it's so adorable. So their baby talk just makes me laugh.
Yeah, it's absolutely adorable. Yeah.
So welcome everyone who's coming in for the live broadcast and those of you who are coming in for the replay. My name is Antonika Chanel and I do interviews on some of the most interesting women out there in the world. And today I'm bringing you Kayla. She is a doula, and a part of her practice, she also does placenta encapsulation. She instructs women who are pregnant and they're about to go through the birthing process, as well as women who've been through the birthing process and maybe even want to have a consultation on how to, take care of their child much easier, healthier, and adapt new, more holistic, organic ways. The really interesting thing about Kayla is that her sister is an acupuncturist, and she worked in her sister's practice for quite a while learning about Chinese medicine. And so I'm so glad that she knows the flow and knows how to explain Chinese medicine, because you all know it's my passion. So just a few days ago, we had a discovery call with Kayla, and I talked to her about some of her missions, her visions, and the things that she's really passionate about. And I just want to share with you, that her vision is to be that person that really supports women, not only in their busy lifestyle, but also those women who are home care providers and who are really wanting to, take 100% control of their life and of their families' lives. And, her vision is to really partner with other women out there, other doulas, other acupuncturists. So if you're someone who's looking for a doula, she's creating this program called the Doula Collective here in the near future. And I really encourage you to reach out to her, to talk to her, to ask her questions, and to connect with her, because I believe that women like her are making a huge difference in this world. So I'm just looking at my notes to make sure that we stay on track here. And the first thing that I want to ask you, Kayla, for all of our viewers is that, you shared with me your experience postpartum and how it was such a, very challenging experience for you. I've never been pregnant. A lot of women who are watching have been pregnant or are pregnant. And I just wanted to know if you can share with us your experience when you were going through that time in your life. What was it like for you?
The postpartum period of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest shock of it all. Like pregnancy, there's so many books, and everybody talks about what it's like to be pregnant and to give birth, and you can take classes on it, and it's well documented. There's so much information out there about during pregnancy what you're going to experience, and during labor what to expect, but nobody was talking about what comes next. And that's kind of like when we spend months and thousands of dollars preparing for our wedding, and we completely forget that afterwards we have a marriage to tend to. And we should be working on communication skills and so much with our partner, not just thinking about the upcoming wedding. And it's the same with birth. We always focus on the birth and we forget about what comes next, the healing period. So for me, I prepared a lot. I read books, but I still felt very isolated. So it was a very isolating, lonely experience, because I thought I had this mentality of like, I read the books about the postpartum period. I set aside food. I have freezer meals. I have things in place to help myself heal, but I did not plan the community piece of it. And that's one of the most important pieces. I didn't have people coming over to spend time with me, just to be with me, not to fix things or tell me how to do things, but just to be there with me so I'm not alone. We're not meant to be alone with a newborn baby. That's a very lonely experience, and that induces postpartum depression. So I definitely think I did struggle with it because I just was alone. I had my partner, my husband was there, and maybe a relative or a family member came over maybe once a month to bring dinner and hang out, and mostly just to see the baby. And that was about it. So it was a very isolating, lonely experience, and it made me want to, not have that experience for other women. Made me want to educate other women that that is not how it's meant to be, and you're not abnormal for feeling depressed in that situation. It's totally normal to be depressed if you're alone with a newborn baby.
It's interesting. I asked my mom, I was like, Mom, did you go through postpartum when you had me? And she said, I didn't. I think it's kind of like a mental thing. And I guess women don't realize what it is or what happens or what's going on. And they don't realize that they're actually experiencing something that is called postpartum. Can you chime in on that and how women can identify what the symptoms are to even see if this is something that they're struggling with?
Yeah, so postpartum depression can come up in so many different ways. I mean, I think that everybody probably feels it, even just a little bit at times. And it's not, so I really want to dispel the myth that it's like a thing that you catch. Like I have so many clients that are like, I don't want to get that again. Like it's like a flu that goes around. Like I don't want to catch it again or something. But it's just a state of mind. It's just feelings that we experience. Throughout the day we have ebbs and flows of joy or sadness, and it's okay for depression to come and go. But when it's more severe and it doesn't go away is when it can become a problem. And so it's generally things like just that loneliness, like sitting at home feeling lonely, being sad and crying a lot. Some crying is normal, but when it doesn't go away for weeks at a time, then that's kind of a red flag. And then not wanting to leave the house, and it can come up in different ways. There's also postpartum anxiety, and there's postpartum OCD, and those each have their own, defining characteristics. So it's important to, I guess, just be aware of all of them. And then that way, when you go to ask for help, you know what to ask for and what kinds of there's each of those, to me, it has a nutritional component. Depression even has a nutritional component. You can be depressed because you have, an omega-3 deficiency. So there's always a nutritional aspect for me too.
And so your experience gave birth to nourishing her.
Mm-hmm.
And this all came out of, realizing that, wow, if you're going through this, other women are going through this as well. But your service as a doula is way different from what all the other doulas do. So can you tell us a little bit about, what sets you apart from the rest of these doulas that are helping women around the world?
Yeah, so I was certified with Innate Traditions, and it's called Innate Traditions postpartum care provider. So it's just a little bit different distinction than a doula because I offer very mother-focused care. I take care of the mother as opposed to a lot of doulas take care of the household or the baby while the mom rests. I know most of the postpartum doulas I know talk about their job is to like hold the baby while mom takes a nap or while mom does this or that. And there's lots to do other things too, but my focus is on taking care of the mom so that she can, or the birthing person, I should say, so that she can take care of the baby. She needs to be supported. So I provide things like vaginal steaming. I do sitz baths and herbal baths. I make herbal teas, and I do an ancestral Asian food that's very nourishing, and it helps with her healing. And then I help with any other holistic remedies that she might need. If she's dealing with hemorrhoids or she's still bleeding 4 weeks postpartum or whatever it might be, even if she's like, I want to try baby wearing. Okay, let's try baby wearing. I can help with whatever's on her mind and help her find a resource. I might not know the answer, but I'm there to help her find the resource for it. And I have a big list of holistic practitioners in my area who do things like womb healing or cranial sacral therapy or acupuncture. And that way, when something comes up, I know these people and I have relationships with these other providers, and I can say, you know, that sounds like something that so and so could really help you with, and I can provide that resource for them.
So you're like this modern doula using ancient practices and just like bring it all together. You're like how would you say, you're just a doulapreneur. You know, you really bring it all together and you do things way different from the way they were done a long time ago. But it's just, I think it's great. I thank you for that.
Thanks.
You know, there's one aspect of your practice that I absolutely love. And when I was in Chinese medicine school, my college professor, Dr. He, talked about placenta. And he was saying about how the placenta is what is used to help women who are going through postpartum. And in China, they would dry it out and they would prepare it. And a lot of us are like, ew, that's gross. But when I started to think about it, he was explaining about all of the nourishment that is in that placenta, because that is designed to nourish the baby when it's in the womb, and that's the nourishment that the woman is giving. But at the same time, we learn in traditional Chinese medicine that when a man releases, he ages. But when a woman has a child, she ages. Her essence becomes depleted, and so we lose the nourishment that we would normally be getting if we weren't pregnant. And so you do this really interesting practice called placenta encapsulation. You have it all over your social media. You're very transparent in the way that you prepare it. And for those women who are unfamiliar with this, I would love for you to share with us, you know, the entire process, your certification, because what I find is that Westerners these days will go to the doctors, have their baby, and then the placenta becomes discarded, when that is like super vital for our health. So tell us everything you know about this placenta encapsulation practice that you run.
Yeah, so the placenta is considered in many traditions, the baby's twin. And it technically is. It is a genetic match to the baby, not the birthing person. So it's actually the baby's placenta. The birthing person grows that organ just for the pregnancy, just to support that baby. But it's a genetic match to the baby. So in a lot of ancient cultures, they consider it like a twin, like another life, and they really honor it, and they'll plant it on the family's land, or in places like in China where they don't have yards, like in small little huts, they'll even bury it in their dirt floor of their home to know that that baby's twin is always part of the family home. So it's it's like a very sacred thing in many cultures. So now here in the West, there are people who have learned that practice. I don't know where they learned it, but they've made it very safe practice. So there are a couple of schools, and they're all mostly online. You can go to some in person. Mine was online. And there's videos and PDFs to read to learn all about like what's in the placenta, how to safely prepare it, what the different methods of preparation are, because you can steam it and then dehydrate it, or you can just dehydrate it without steaming it first. And then you can also make tinctures out of it, or an essence, like a flower essence. And then I also do balms. I make my own body butter, and I can add in the placenta powder, and then that can be applied to a C-section scar to help it heal and dissolve the scar. So there's lots of ways that you can prepare it. And I think that the safety is one of the biggest things that I'm like so adamant about, because you can go online and read about how to do it, but you probably don't know all the safety measures that you should be taking. So it's really important to find somebody who does understand all of that and is certified with the bloodborne pathogen safety training, because it's not just like cooking food. It's not like, you know, somebody needs to know how to cook food and like have a food handler's certificate. They're also handling like possible bloodborne pathogens like HIV. So that needs to be taken very seriously, and all those safety measures need to be followed. And then the medicine is just amazing. It's really fun to see how every placenta is totally unique, because every pregnancy is unique, every baby is unique. You know, every placenta is going to have a different amount of nutrients in it. And I see that in my clients. Like I have some, probably, I've only had one client so far out of over 60 placentas that I've done. One client said that it negatively affected her milk supply, but the other 99% of them had a positive milk supply, so they got more breast milk than they expected. They, if they had previous babies, they could compare it to previous breastfeeding experiences and say that this one was much more milk supply. They could also compare and say much more energy. Everybody reports they have so much more energy when they're taking the placenta capsules. And then way more balanced moods is the other huge benefit. So like after giving birth, your progesterone drops 300 times lower than it is before you're even pregnant. And that's a huge drop, like 300 times lower than even pre-pregnancy. So taking the placenta pills is like a hormone supplement to just buffer your body until your body's making those hormones on its own. Because during pregnancy, the placenta makes all of your sex hormones. So all of your progesterone and estrogen, everything is made from the placenta. The ovaries stop all production. And after giving birth, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks until the ovaries are making those hormones again on their own. And if you were depleted and not resting and pushing your body and trying to focus on getting back in your instead of recovering and healing, then it might take longer. And you might have those like a severe hormonal imbalance for a longer period of time that could eventually lead to a thyroid condition and an autoimmune disease. So taking the placenta pills helps to buffer that lack of hormones, and it really helps to deal with like the emotional mood swings, you know, the upsets and crying that is so common in the postpartum period. So I always tell my clients' partner, if your wife is like really upset and crying a lot, remind her to take her placenta pills.
It's kind of like me. I'm like, Mom, did you put on your oils?
Yeah. Right.
True. It's a partnership, you know, your partner should be involved in the process as well.
Mm-hmm.
You also, you know, I don't even know where to send some people to getting this placenta encapsulation done. You're in Tucson, Arizona. You do have a method in which women can work with you by having them send their placenta to you. What does that look like if a woman did want to work with you and have her placenta encapsulated with you?
Yeah, so as far as following that safety precautions, it would just need to be frozen within 4 to 5 hours of birth, and then, or at least refrigerated, and then frozen, and then shipped overnight, usually with a dry ice package to me, and then I process it and I ship the pills and all the completed products back to the mom with all the instructions. I have had a client do that, but usually I'm able to do some research and ask my large group of colleagues if there's somebody in their area, and then I just do a little bit of research to make sure that they're reputable and they have good references on their website and good reviews. But I'm happy to do that because there are people who live in really rural areas and they want this kind of medicine and they don't want to do it raw. I mean, the other option is just throw it in your frying pan and eat it like liver and onions. But if that doesn't sound appealing, then I'm happy to receive your shipment and process it for you.
Yeah, that's pretty ancient practice right there. That's wild. So you can work with women out of state, but those who are in Tucson, Arizona, how do you work with them in person? Do you get you said you get the placenta directly from the hospital, and the hospital has no problem giving that to you?
Yeah, they have no problem with it at all. In the state of Arizona, the placenta is your organ that you have every right to take with you from the hospital. I think it varies by state. You might have to sign a waiver in some states, but typically it's totally legal to take it, and you just have to notify the nursing staff ahead of time so they don't toss it in the biohazard waste. And then, yeah, I typically pick it up within an hour or two of the birth, bring it back to my house, completely sanitize my kitchen to all the safety measures, and then bring the pills back a day or two later and go over instructions. And then I offer unlimited follow-ups. So if the woman has any questions, you know, if she has any concerns or weird symptoms pop up or any postpartum healing questions in general, I'm happy to answer her questions throughout the whole time she's taking the medicine.
Wow, that's great. I'm glad that you offer this to women all over the world, all over the country, because I know this is super valuable, especially for those who are unfamiliar with this kind of practice. Now, you talked a little bit about how you can take the powder of the placenta, you put it in womb oil, you put it in some creams and some tinctures. And I'm really fascinated by that because, this is the post-practice care. You also talked about vaginal steaming, and I really would love for you to tell us more about why vaginal steaming is so integral in the at the postpartum stage, or just even after having a childbirth. Like, what can it do for women? And, for example, what kind of herbs would you recommend a woman who is wanting to adopt this practice?
Yeah, so postpartum vaginal steaming is really beneficial to help shrink the uterus a lot faster. They actually just completed a study on this out in California, I believe. You can look up vaginalsteamstudy.com, and they just published it a couple days ago. And it does show that it shrinks the uterus dramatically faster. The lochia clears out much faster, which is the blood it's like you're bleeding after you give birth. I've heard of women that bleed up to a year after giving birth. After the steaming study, they found that the lochia you stopped bleeding within 3 weeks of birth, like within days or weeks of giving birth instead of months and months. So it does stop that faster. It prevents infection, it prevents UTIs, and it's very relaxing. So in our modern world, where after giving birth, ideally we'd like to go relax, but we have probably other kids and responsibilities and things. And being able to have that daily steam in those first few weeks postpartum brings the body back into the rest and digest so that it can heal. And it also helps induce really deep sleep as well. So there's so many benefits to it in the postpartum period. And I don't like to give sweeping statements as far as what kind of herbs are best, because it does vary, and I do make personalized blends for every client at this time. Maybe in the future I'll feel like I have a really great blend for certain constitutions, but right now I just make them very personalized based on what the mom has going on. If she's getting hot flashes, I can add some cooling herbs like mint, but for postpartum, it definitely is a cleansing blend of herbs. So it's herbs that will stimulate a cleanse, like mugwort is a big one, which is a common Chinese herb. And I do use a little bit of disinfecting herbs like lavender, which is also very great with the aromatherapy. So it's a blend of disinfecting herbs, cleansing herbs, aromatherapy herbs, and tightening and toning herbs. So there's also the benefit that it helps to tighten the vaginal muscles and lift the uterus and protect from prolapse. So prolapse is becoming more and more common because I think women are resting less and less after birth. And the steam really helps to tighten the muscles that are too loose and loosen the muscles that are like overly tight from maybe too many Kegels. We're all taught to do Kegels that like tighten things, but then you're always in this state of tight. And if you're always tight, that actually makes you weaker and makes it harder for like your bladder to fully release if the muscles around it are always tight. So it's important to let them relax too. So the steam helps that happen. It helps facilitate that relaxing and tightening into an even balance.
Yeah, I love V-steaming, and I started using it more often. In fact, I do it about 3 times a week these days. And I loved how you illustrated how to V-steam even on the go, because, I travel around a lot and it's kind of hard to, carry around my sauna. And so you made it easy by, instructing women to put it yourself on a pot, being in the child's pose or the garland's pose. And so I really love that I can do this anywhere. And I've seen a huge difference in my menstruation. Also, I feel clean. I feel like, when you put your face in a pot, you're steaming your nose and you're trying to clean up your orifices there so you can have more clarity. It's like literally the same thing. So I love that you said that. And I love that you mentioned moxa. Moxa is one of my favorite types of self-care practices that I love to share with people because it's something that is attainable. Mm-hmm. And it can be used on specific acupuncture points with the proper instruction. And it's definitely beneficial for a woman who is expecting a breech baby. That moxa will turn that baby right around in weeks. And so those of you who are experiencing that or have heard that you could potentially be having a breech baby, go and, check in with your acupuncturist, get some moxa, ask what kind of points you should use it on. I can't remember how many weeks, maybe it's like around about the 30-week mark or so to help turn that baby. So that's really beneficial. And you commented on herbs. Yes, you're correct. Those of you who are looking at, hiring a doula, it seems like such a modern day thing, but really it's not. It's something that women have been doing for years. And it might even seem like it's such a posh thing to do. But really, I believe that it's beneficial because, correct me if I'm wrong, women who leave the hospital probably don't see their doctors for months after their pregnancy. And so that doula is there to help guide you on nutrition, on things that you already have in your home, or maybe some resources that you want to start incorporating. One of the things that I love that you mentioned was lavender oil, or just lavender herbs and peppermint. And I'm a huge, fan of essential oils, and I love teaching women about how to use them because a lot of times that's what women have at home already. And if they don't have it, they're somewhat interested in how to use these essential oils for themselves and for their babies.
Yeah.
Now, just as we move along into what women can do right now, like what kind of foods they can eat, what kind of nutrition that you can possibly recommend that maybe could be generalized, what kind of value can you give to a lot of women who are like, I want to get started, but I'm a little bit like, don't know where to start. What can I do? Can you chime in on that?
Yeah, I think that listening to the body can be so, like, that's the starting point. That really is checking in with your body. Like, just being able to stop what you're doing, close your eyes, and take a few breaths and say, like, how does my body feel right now? And listen. Just be quiet and listen and see what comes up. Like, that is the starting point for me with my clients, so that they can get to know how they're feeling. If maybe they have a pain, maybe they have a dull ache or a stabbing pain. They didn't even realize, like maybe they're in a bad mood and they didn't even realize it's because they have this stabbing pain in their uterus, or who knows what it is. But checking in to listen to the body and then go from there. Like, maybe it's some cramps. Okay, you have some cramps. So maybe that's your body telling you to slow down and rest a little. How hydrated are you? Let's do some womb massage. Let's get some oil and do some massage on your belly to help those cramps. Let's get you a heating pack. So it's just like checking in with, what do you need? What is your body asking for right now? And then let's find the resources for that. And the nutrition, for me, like, nutrition is kind of the one of the foundational pieces. You can't really out supplement a bad diet. You can't take enough vitamins to make up for a fast food diet. It's just not going to work. You have to start with the whole food diet and then go up from there. So I like to recommend a couple of simple, like, whole food cookbooks to start with, and some simple recipes to, like, get people used to cooking with real whole food, adding in more vegetables and healthy fats and good animal proteins. And then from there, my recommendation is always, like, when you have a weird symptom come up and you're like, I want to Google this. I don't know what to do about this. I want to Google it. And if I'm not there to help them, just Google it with the term holistic remedy for, and then your issue, so that you don't get all of the, like, pharmaceutical answers, or the, well, we don't know, which is typical with so much Western medicine. And I find that I have really good results with that. Like, I personally will find, like, I've found, Googling an issue with that, and it'll say, like, to massage this acupressure point. And I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I forgot about that. And so it's a good reminder. So it's kind of a silly little thing, but just adding holistic remedy to whatever you're Googling on Dr. Google, and you'll actually get real results that can make a difference instead of recommended drugs.
That's a really great tip, because a lot of us, I know that I do the same thing too, how to do this, but I sometimes forget, oh, I should probably put holistic in there. And so
Right.
Teaching women how to search is, like, number one.
Yeah, I have so many clients that come for steaming issues, and they're like, for vaginal steaming, and they tell me their symptoms, and they tell me what they've tried to do for it, or they tell me what their doctor recommended, and I'm like, oh, that is terrible. Like, they didn't have any real advice. It was just like, well, try this drug. Okay, no, try this drug. Oh, that caused this. Okay, well, then try adding this drug in. So there are some really good, awesome tips out there from herbalists and naturopathic doctors and chiropractors and acupuncturists, that are sharing this wealth of information out there. It's just a matter of finding good resources for it.
That's right. Well, we've come to the end of our broadcast, and those of you who are still watching with us, those of you who are watching the replay, and those of you who are interested and wondering what it would look like to work with a doula, you know, Kayla has been so generous in sharing her practice with all of us that are here. And so I encourage you to, for one, start following her on Instagram at Nourishing Her. And for two, take advantage of the opportunity to consult with her. Just for being here and watching this video for the next week, Kayla has offered to gift you a complimentary 30-minute consultation. This is an invitation for you to just give her a call, meet with her, email her, and say, hey, listen, this is what I'm going through. This is what I want to know. What can I expect? And in that period, she will share with you what it would look like to work with her, what you can expect, what you should do from a one-on-one perspective. And this is super valuable because women like her are like not very many. There's not very many women like her. And so I want to offer you that right off the bat. Even if you've already had a child, and maybe your child's 2 or 3, and maybe they're not eating the right kinds of foods, or they're having a hard time eating their vegetables, and you're like, my kid doesn't eat, what she needs to be eating or he needs to be eating. Kayla's got some really great tips. You can find them on her Instagram on how she was able to, wean her son after, what was it, 22
months.
How many months? 22 months, and start eating real food. And also she began to get more sleep, because for a certain amount of time you've been a single mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so those of you who are single moms, you need the support, and you can't live without it, especially if you're a single mom and you're working and you're running your home. That's a lot. And having a child can be definitely overwhelming. And I don't have to have a kid to say that. So just before you go, I just want to ask Kayla, do you have any closing remarks? Do you have anything else that you would like to share with our viewers today?
Yeah, I just want to share, reiterate what you kind of mentioned in the beginning, that my passion is to empower women to take back their own health. That we have so long put our own health in the hands of someone else, into, a doctor, and trusted them to know what was best for us, when we really know what's best within ourselves. And that's my job, is to help my clients remember that, to get back into our own bodies and feel what we need and find the resources for ourselves to heal ourselves. And that I've been doing that for many years myself, so I can attest to how powerful and empowering it is. And I just really want to share that with everyone I can.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kayla. And also, Kayla's got an ebook. It's called The Modern Mama Guide for the 4th Trimester Planning. And it's on her website, nourishher.com. Go download it, check it out, read it. I know it's got some great tips and tools for all of you women. And those women who are interested in learning more about essential oils, you can also contact me, find my website, get on Instagram, follow me. And if you've got questions about how to use oils, how to, take care of yourself, more questions about the content of this blog or of this video, this live event, please ask them here in the comment section. And then also on YouTube, where this video will be uploaded, we're going to be open to, ask questions there as well. If you know someone who could really find a lot of value in this live broadcast, please share this with them. We want to reach as many women as possible to help them take back their power and their life. Thank you so much, Kayla, for joining us. I'm so glad that you took the time out just to spend this 30 minutes with us. I appreciate you. I adore you. I love what you do. I want to do what you do, but then my mom says I want to do everything.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And if any of you out there have a holistic practice, if you have something that you love, that you want to share with other women, I invite you to connect with me on Facebook, on Instagram, or even through my website, and just say, hey, Antonika, I'd love to be I'll be interviewed on your show. I love to share with the world what I have to offer too. I love interviewing women. I love empowering women in every aspect of their life. And I invite you to collaborate with me. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day and be blessed. Share this with all your friends. And let's see who comes along and tries these tips and shares their experience. Bye now.